Good morning and welcome to the fourth hour. Got a few fireworks for you here this morning. Representative Nancy Mace. I think that's where we're going to start. This has been a big ongoing story, and I want to show you a video first, and then we'll get into the details here. This is Representative Nancy Mace. Hold on, that's not the one I want to share. Forgive me. Let's try here again. The there was a transgender activist trying to rush the stage with Representative Nancy Mace, and you can see her right here. This is Nancy Mace. Right here is the trans activist, and I'll roll the video here for you. Again, it's not very long. You can see what happened.
A lot of responsibilities too. Rowan and I.
I'm sorry. You're living with that in real time right now. This is ridiculous. It is the day after Trans Day of Visibility. We have had dozens of trans people die this year because of the hate and lies that you are spreading. And if we want an internet, are we building an internet with free speech for everyone or just the privileged few? Are you going to stand up for the lives of trans people, black
and just
people,
continues to shout all of the way out the door. And then Mace makes a comment here. Here it comes.
God loves him. I love him, but his penis isn't going to be in my bathroom. So, at any rate, but we have a responsibility.
Oh yeah, how dare she would say that? Boo! These crowds are just absolutely incredible. You know, as you watch that, David, I agree with you on a lot of these issues. Never surrender, never give up. That's really, and I was talking about that a little bit this morning. That this fight, this is a huge fight, I think, that we're facing. So as we're talking about Representative Nancy Mace, here's the story at the New York Post. So this, I want to get you comments. This was footage that was shared by Evan Greer, standing with an LGBTQ flag, interrupting Mace's appearance then. This was at Georgetown University's Summit on the Future of the Internet. That's what they were talking about. So Greer shouted, we've had dozens, and you heard, I played the video for you. We've had dozens of trans people die this year because of the hate and lies you're spreading. I would like to see that proof. What in the world is he talking about? Dozens of trans people die this year because of the hate and lies you're spreading? What? Because did they take their own life? This is what I wondered. Did they take their own life, commit suicide? A lot of transgender people do. A lot of them. So I don't dispute the figures, but because of what Nancy Mace is doing, that somehow that's her responsibility. I mean, this is just, wow. Absolutely crazy. So Greer, as you saw, was escorted out. This is, and again, what Nancy Mace said at the very end there, I don't know if you could hear her. She said, God loves him. I love him, but his penis isn't going to be in my bathroom. And then the crowd, of course, booing. And then she said, if you're pro men watching me undress in a dressing room, you're part of the problem, she said. So it's, this is crazy. And then she wrote on X, raging lunatic pretending to be female tried to rush the stage at me just a little bit ago. So what Nancy Mace shared on social media on X. So there's a video that she had. I want to share this. New York Post uses it here at the top of the story. And take a look at this.
This says you can't erase us, Nancy. Well, then you shouldn't try to erase women. That's all I have to say for any man that wants to be in a woman's restroom, bathroom, dressing room, locker room, absolutely not.
Well, that's it. Wow. I don't know that you can put it any more simply than that. She seemed to be pretty clear, but it's yeah, Steve, I understand what you mean here. Imagine that mentally ill people are killing themselves. Who would have known? It's really shocking, I think, what we have seen happen in regard to this. And I never would have seen this one coming. Seriously, the number of men that try to become women and some will undergo surgery, some who just don't. They just start, taking drugs and so on. But it's absolutely incredible. But women using women's restrooms, I mean, that's something I just absolutely am in favor of. And again, I find myself at a loss for words because it's like, why are we having to debate this? Why does I mean, wow, where does this come from? It's just absolutely crazy. All right. Also this morning, let's see what else I got for you. Oh, there was a contributor on MSNBC who made some interesting comments. The big story today is about Matt Gaetz is out, Pam Bondi is in, Donald Trump's choice for the new attorney general, and on MSNBC, a professor was worried about it. Take a listen to this, and I appreciated his comments. Listen to this.
Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job.
Yes.
So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education money. She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz.
Right, frankly, worse because she's effective, because, she knows what she's doing. She's very, very smart. So she makes them nervous, which you take that as a good sign? As I take that as a good sign. I think the good things that you and I see happening as a result of this selection of Pam Bondi. So it's the meltdown on MSNBC continues. MSNBC, by the way, I mean, it sounds like what's going to happen with that network. I mean, losing NBC News and the partnership that they have had with NBC News, because you've had NBC News on their programs and so on. It's going to be interesting to watch that. And forgive me if I'm a little bit giddy to see what's going to wind up happening to MSNBC. I thought I saw a story regarding this. I'm going to check out the New York Post because I believe that I saw something along those lines at the New York Post earlier today. Oh, this is great. This, the reaction from Don Jr., what's going on at Morning Joe? Morning joke. So Don Jr. is mocking the host of Morning Joe. Let's see what I like Don Jr. I really do. I think he's very much like his father. He's very, very outspoken. He's very funny, got a great sense of humor. So what is he saying here? Forgive me. Ads in the way. There we go. He said, yeah, it's hard to believe the hypocrisy of Morning Joe. I mean, I wouldn't go and meet with Hitler, but that's just me. Maybe it was all nonsense all along, he said. So he praised his father for meeting with the host, saying that his willingness to hear from his critics shows his eagerness to represent everyone. See, in the media doesn't portray him in an honest light. There are those Americans who do not see this. They do not see Donald Trump reaching out and trying to, represent everybody and visit with everybody. And even if you disagree, it's pretty incredible. My father always wants to hear from everyone. He's not just leading MAGA America, but America for all Americans. Not for all Americans, because now we see Americans like Ellen DeGeneres and others who are packing up, leaving the country because, can't live in Trump's America. Got to go somewhere else. And again, I watch that. I'm consistently at a loss for words. This stuff is just so crazy and off the wall. How do you even respond to some of this stuff? Donald Trump, I think, does a remarkable job doing it. So Don Jr. says MSNBC has become more of a propaganda outlet. I agree. Anyway, I thought you might be interested in that. I thought there may have been also another story at here's what I had shared earlier. Representative Mace with this transgender activist. I don't think there's anything else. I thought I had seen something else, but I'm going to leave it there for today. But also there is, I'm trying to take a look at your comments here. Steve, are you talking about MSNBC? You're saying, I hope Elon Musk offers to buy it. That meltdown would be delicious. You got to be talking about MSNBC here, I think. Edgy says, I think Trump is crazy like a fox. Yeah, I do too. Absolutely agree with you about this. He knows how to play people, especially his opponents. Can't say I know for sure, but the whole Gates situation feels like it couldn't have happened more to plan. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. And so it's one of the reasons why I was really reluctant to get too deep into that. I don't know what Donald Trump's plan was. I don't know if this was a serious attempt to try to get Matt Gaetz, and it just went sideways. The votes were not there. That Republicans were just refusing. I've had some who have been pointing out to me that that's actually what Trump was after. Let's see which senators he can count on. Let's see who are those that are going to stand in the way of Donald Trump's agenda. Who are those folks? That may have been his plan. I don't know. That's speculation only. And you know me, I don't like engaging in speculation. I really don't. Because I that's not my gift. I can see through what the left is saying, but being able to speculate about what Donald Trump is going to do next, man, I'm just like many of you. He makes a move and you go, wow. The whole Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, wow, blown away. I didn't see that coming. Very, very excited about it, but I never saw that coming. And then Steve responding to Edgy here too, as he was saying, Trump crazy like a fox. After Gaetz was named, our AG Marty Jackley was invited to Mar-a-Lago. Seems like it may have been in an attempt to interview other candidates. Possibly also could have been an attempt to reach out and just soliciting opinion. I think that's one of the things I think Donald Trump does a lot of, soliciting opinion and weighing opinion. And I think if you're, an intelligent person, you want to hear the thoughts of other intelligent people and what they think and get their perspective. And so could be for any one of a number of reasons that Marty Jackley might have been called out there. There was another story that I wanted to share with you this morning. We're going to wind up going a little bit shorter, I think, than usual this morning. And I saw this at the Hill. Advocates fear a national book ban under a unified GOP government. This is, now a lot of this is just scare tactics. But talking about Republicans and the book bans, and that's where you start getting into, now we're talking about public libraries versus school libraries. There's a difference there, at least in my mind. Public libraries open to the general public versus school libraries and the books that are in school libraries. Do you see a distinction between the two? Because I guess I do. And so they go on. Again, what I find so amazing is you've always got the left fearing oppression by the right, but they will oppress you in an absolute heartbeat. They think nothing of it. So they are going to take steps that you wind up, being just suffocating. So this issue over libraries. And I think one of the things, trying to look at this, Casey Meehan saying, certainly we think it's a concern. Part of what we watched over the last 3 years is the way in which different states with unified Republican control have passed legislation that has led to book banning. So this is, I have seen some of these books that have been removed from libraries and read about them, and they're shocking. It's absolutely, and we're not talking about what libraries were like when I was a kid. What we see happening in libraries now is just far and away different. And the books that are being written and being published and placed in libraries. So again, public libraries that are completely open to the public, I think that's one thing. But we're talking about school libraries and parents being concerned about the books that their children have access to when they're in school. Is that reasonable? See, I think it is. I think it's very, very reasonable that parents are concerned about some of the books that their kids are exposed to. So again, when it comes to kids, you can have those conversations with them, but there's a time for that. And a parent wants to be able to choose when they wind up talking about these things, rather than one of your children or grandchildren finding a book at the library and then bringing it home and then popping that on mom and dad and saying, well, what's this and what's this about? And, then driving forcing a conversation that you might not have had for another, 5 years or more. So that I understand is absolutely concerning. So it's always interesting. You have these library times. And again, I don't want to see, these are the same people who are leaving X in droves because Elon Musk wanted to give everybody's point of view. Everybody should be able to express their point of view on X, not just the far left or those on the left, but everybody. These are the same people that are fleeing X, who want nothing to do with X. And then they're talking about the suppression of the right at public libraries. Well, forgive me, that seems a little more than a little bit disingenuous to me. Parents are rightly concerned about the books that their kids consume. And they have every right to be. So it's no wonder that is, again, you see people who are going further and further and further out. And they're writing books. Honestly, there are books being written today that would never have been written, likely even 10 years ago. So they're going further and further and further out, and parents are left to, trying to raise your kids. And I think this is one of the reasons that you've got a growing number of parents who just say, hey, I'm done. I'm done with public schools. I'm pulling my kids out. I want to be able to teach my kids at home. That's an incredible amount of work for these parents who do that. And now there are resources that are out there for them, but still, I think that's an enormous responsibility to take the education of your children upon yourself. You and your spouse, but you've got a growing number of people who are willing to do it. And I think it says something about this. Why are we arguing about some of these books in school libraries? Again, when it comes to general libraries, that's another conversation. But school libraries that children are frequenting, it's, to me, it's just a little bit much to take all of that. Well, let's see what's on your mind. And Jay was saying, definitely do not want adult content in elementary or middle school libraries. Jay, it's really hard to disagree with that. Steve Areno, actually sad over some of the celebs leaving X. They had the best meltdowns. They'll be back, though, wherever they go, doesn't have an audience. Yeah, and that's the thing about some of these places that they're going to, and they're taking like some of their ideas about censorship so on along with them, and it's like, fine, man, go somewhere else. Just don't have the audience. And Jay is right here. It's not about censorship, but rather age-appropriate content. That's exactly right. And that's a decision that as a parent, you want to make for yourself, right? You want to make that decision as to when your kids are going to see some of this material, because admittedly, it's a much different world, not only from when I was a kid. Oh my God, yeah, it's a different world, but even from when I was raising kids, the world that my kids grew up in. What we see happening now is even, far beyond that. And it's really kind of troubling. And this is why I worry about those parents who, we've got a number of parents who cannot afford a private school, for their kids. They maybe cannot afford to take time off work to educate kids for themselves and homeschool their kids. So they have no other, choice but to send their kids to public schools, which is one of the reasons that I was so excited to hear. And we talked about this on the air this morning with Senator Mike Rounds and the bill that he's proposing that would shut down the federal Department of Education and return that power to the states. I have long been a believer that, government is best when it's closest to the people. And when it comes to especially these issues of education in your children, that is best left to our communities. States, of course, have a role as well, but it's best left to local governments when it comes to the education of our kids. And part of the reason is, and then, with the whole debate over libraries and this is just a different world. And I don't see any of those things improving. I think there was a time I was had a Pollyannish kind of attitude that, we'll get through this. We'll see a time where folks will wake up. And I'm not convinced that we're of that anymore. I just don't. I don't think, based on what we see happening in the world, more and more, I become more and more concerned about a lot of these things. And as a parent, you have every right to be concerned about your kids and the books they're seeing in school, and what they're being taught or not being taught. I mean, just there's a lot of things, I think, for families to deal with in today's America. It's just a far, far different world from the time that it was when I was a kid, and there was just overwhelming consensus on a lot of these things. And I think that's because it was just, we were much more a country of faith than America is today. You just do not see faith on display in the way and how it affects people, and the kind, then, in how they're raised and how they raise their kids, and that belief and in God and faith. It certainly has an impact on me. So as we get further and further away from that, these are the fruits of that. More of this just craziness that just seems to grip the country. I've shown you several examples this morning. I hate ending on kind of a down note because I really want to wish you a great weekend. I hope you have a terrific weekend. I'm always looking forward to the weekend, so I hope you are as well. I want to ask you to please hit the like button before you leave. If you've got like-minded friends, invite them. Share a video with them, and tell them that we do this every weekday morning. I would love to have more folks on board, especially on YouTube. As I've not seen my numbers on YouTube, where I think I'm just under 250, and I've not seen it move for weeks. I mean, there hasn't been any movement at all on YouTube. I'm picking up more people, though, on Facebook. But I'm also posting on Facebook a lot more lighter material and engaging you on things outside of the news of the day. So I think that's the reason why I'm seeing an increase on Facebook and nothing on YouTube. So if you've got friends on either of those platforms, please invite them to be part of our group. And I'll leave it there for today. Want to wish you a great weekend. Take care. So long until Monday, my friend, and may God bless.